Papua New Guinea, but also to all of you who have found us through our shortwave transmission or perhaps other local or diocesan radio stations picking up the broadcast. I'm Sister Bernadette. It's a pleasure to be able to provide this broadcast to you. It's just about 9 o'clock in the morning, local time in Portugal. As we know, Francis took off yesterday morning and arrived around 10 o'clock local time. He was welcomed at the airport by the President, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, whom we've seen here. And he then also paid a courtesy visit to the President and addressed government leaders, members of civil society, and the diplomatic corps. He also met with the President of the Assembly of the Republic of Portugal, Augusto Santos Silva, in the afternoon, and then celebrated Vespers with the bishops, priests, deacons, consecrated persons, seminarians, etc., all who work closely in the Church's pastoral ministry, which is a normal event on all of his apostolic journey schedules. This morning, the Pope, actually yesterday evening, we learned that he also met with 13 victims of sexual abuse. This had been planned ahead of time, but details were not released due to the privacy of the encounter. Our Holy Father met with 13 victims of abuse who were accompanied by several church organizations who are committed to the protection of minors. The meeting lasted over an hour, and it ended shortly about 8:15 local Lisbon time. That's information released by the Holy See Press Office. This morning, the Holy Father said Mass in private this morning. And this is his first event for today. We hear one of the former World Youth Day theme songs now being performed. Here we see the Vatican delegation, the papal entourage. Now, this is the Pope's second visit to Portugal. His first was in 2017. He went to the Shrine of Our Lady of Fatima on the 12th and 13th of May in order to take part in the centennial celebrations of the apparitions. He is the fourth Pope to visit Portugal. Pope Paul VI visited here in 1967, and Pope John Paul paid 3 visits to Portugal. The first in 1982, a year after he was shot. He wanted to pay homage to Our Lady, whom he believed saved him from that assassination attempt, and he left the bullet there that had been extracted from him as a way of thanking her for having miraculously saved his life. He also went back to Portugal in 1991 and 2000. And Pope Benedict went to Portugal in 2010. So all of his predecessors, going back to Paul VI, have visited this particular country. Jesus Christ, you are my life. Hallelujah, hallelujah. The meeting taking place today, we see our Holy Father now arriving in his wheelchair. We're at the Catholic University of Portugal, located in the Palma de Cima campus in the center of Lisbon. It was established in 1967 by a decree of the Holy See at the request of the Portuguese Episcopal Conference. Official recognition on the part of the government came in 1971. Here we see the rector, the current rector, greeting the Pope. Her name is Isabel Capeloa Gil. This is the first modern university in Portugal not to have been founded by the state as a result of the concordat between the Portuguese government and the Vatican. It focuses on the humanities, and they believe they also have an international vocation. They have campuses based in other parts of Portugal, and they hope to promote qualified education and the integral training of their students. They start with the principles of Christian humanism, and they respect diversity and free thought. It's recognized as one of the best universities in Portugal. Our Holy Father now has taken his seat. Holy Father, acknowledging the applause. And now the rector's welcome. Holy Father, welcome.
Universidade Católica Portugesa estão estudantes, professores, colaboradores, alumni e amigos da nossa
On this campus of the Portuguese Catholic University, students, professors, collaborators, alumni, and friends of our university and of other Portuguese and international universities are gathered who welcome you as pilgrims with an open heart. The Portuguese Catholic University was founded 56 years ago, originating from the Faculty of Philosophy of the Society of Jesus in Praga. Today it has 17 faculties and 4 campuses in Lisbon, Porto, Braga, and Viseu, with about 20,000 students. And in 1996, it established what is now the University of San Jose in Macau, China. We're a university on the move, with many international professors, about 2,000 professors,
e atribuindo bolsas de estudo e prémios a mais de 20% dos nossos alunos. Orgulhamo-nos, em particular,
scholarships and prizes are awarded to more than 20% of our students. We especially care about working with young people in situations of social and economic fragility, migrants and refugees, supported under the Pope Francis Fund. By definition, the university is a space for research, dialogue, and welcome. In the face of realities marked by exclusion and inequality in an age of uncertainty, the university stands as a guardian of hope, which means promoting the ability to dream, a help in order to discern, to listen to the voices that surround us, listening to the times in order to intervene, defending the dignity of women and men, believing in their transformative capacity. The search for knowledge to improve the human condition is combined with an ethical discernment that guides the possibility of making choices and taking action, fostering beauty and the aesthetic posture, which is also a search for meaning in the world. In addition to the laboratories and classrooms, the university also organizes activities around 2 art galleries. The university exercises the nurture of knowledge, the philosophy of action, and the management of beauty. Holy Father, in the encyclical Laudato Si, you invite us to think of a single world with a common project and to welcome the world as a sacrament of communion. This should be the experience and practice of an academic. Indeed, science and research require mutual recognition and the ability to transform and transcend in community and collaborative involvement. Our proposal is rich in values because it springs from the humanistic Christian vision of existence. But to honor this tradition, we must ceaselessly challenge ourselves. The university does not exist to preserve itself as an institution, but to respond courageously to the challenges of the present and the future. Therefore, it will always be a work in progress, never completed. The construction of the new Campus Veritate of the Portuguese Catholic University, whose foundation stone Your Holiness will bless, will increase the welcoming space of our campus open to the world, to listening and to hope. And in this significant moment, we also want to announce the birth of a new chair
do escultor Manuel Rosa e oferecemos conhecimento anunciando a nova cátedra Economia de Francisco.
And the new chair is called Economics of Francis and Clare, dedicated to welcoming transversal initiatives to all the faculties and to promote the principles of the economy of Francesco and to develop a social plan or social model that puts people and the environment first. Pope Francis, may God reward you for the generosity with which you inspire us in our mission. We pray for you. Thank you for your concern for the protagonists of the future, the young people who are gathering in Lisbon these days and from whom we will now hear some of their voices. Our Holy Father standing and now greeting the rector of the Portuguese Catholic University, Isabel Capeloa Gil.
Santo Padre.
And here we are now hearing some testimonies. This is from Tomás Virtuoso. Holy Father, in my academic career, the Portuguese Catholic University has been a place of transversality of knowledge, in which everything is perceived as connected and interdependent, of renewed amazement in front of the beauty of created reality, whether in a mathematical equation or in a text of St. Augustine, and of a profound encounter with God, who sustains everything and gives meaning to everything. Much of what you propose, Your Holiness, in the encyclical Laudato Si, I was able to experience during these happy years as a student at the desks in the classroom or in the library, in the extraordinary experience of the country mission, and in the Economy of Francesco project, and finally, in the many friendships I have made here, which remind me that my life acquires purpose and greatness when it is lived with others and in service. It seems to me that my generation is being asked to not ignore the many insights that Laudato Si offers. In the first place, when it encourages us to increasingly apply the best science has to offer, to place our trust in the divine gift of reason, to continue to find effective solutions to the challenge that present themselves. Secondly, when it asks us to reject technological progress that does not have strong ethical and spiritual roots, that does not ensure respect for the inviolable dignity of the person and of all creation. Thirdly, when it leads us to the firm decision to live according to the demands of the common good, a foundational principle of the Church's social doctrine. Furthermore, when on the one hand it stimulates us to a conversion of life, and it encourages us to a more committed political and social participation, which focuses on the preferential option for the poor. Finally, when it encourages young Catholics of my generation to evangelize, to fearlessly affirm that an authentic integral ecology is not possible without God, that there can be no future in a world without God. Holy Father, in the 4th International Congress on the Care of Creation, with which the Catholic University hosted earlier this week, through the initiative of the John Paul II Foundation for Youth, we committed ourselves precisely to integral ecology, in a certainty that Christ, the living and true God, is the answer to a world that seeks meaning among the joys and pains of the present time. I have the joy of being able to deliver into Your Holiness's hands the manifesto resulting from our work on lifestyles for a new humanity. Thank you, Holy Father, for inviting us to be true worshippers of God, and in this way to live wisely, to think deeply, and to love generously. Thank you. This is Tomás Virtuoso. He's 29 years old. He was born in Lisbon, and he has a degree, or is working on a degree in economics at the School of Business and Economics. And he is also in his second year studying theology in the Faculty of Theology.
Santo Padre, reconheço hoje
This is Mariana Cravero.
converge com os princípios para os quais Vossa Santidade.
Holy Father, today I joyfully recognize that my journey in this university converges on the principles towards which Your Holiness has summoned the academic world through the proposal of a global educational pact, and this is what I would like to focus on. I started studying at the Catholic University in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic. In this context, the university, through the Catholic Solidarity Program, helped me understand the urgency of seeing the human person as a priority. And so I was able to lend a hand every week to serve meals to the homeless and needy in the heart of the city of Porto. However, this experience was only a starting point. It's the way God taught me that this welcoming service to the most vulnerable and excluded had to be a daily priority as a student, as a member of an outgoing church.
A Universidade Católica pôs-me também em contacto com a metodologia aprendizagem-serviço.
In recent years, I've collaborated with an institution that supports people with disabilities, and I've been able to see the impact of the hope and joy given and received. The Catholic University also put me in touch with the internship service methodology, which gave me a more inclusive understanding of academic themes and greater certainty about the civic responsibility that education brings with it. In this context, I volunteered in a prison psychiatric clinic. I dived into this project with head, hands, heart, and soul, and we managed to achieve high goals, making, for example, 28 prisoners with mental health problems recognize their potential and experience. The Freedom of Talents, the title I gave this project. I recognize that I have never lacked the contribution of the educational community with the conditions and tools necessary to be able to grow fully as a young person and as a woman. Therefore, I commit myself to being a link of reconciliation and peace in the service of the community, as Your Holiness never ceases to remind us or recommend to us. And I'm sure that God invites me to dream of my journey among the most excluded. As a future psychologist, my duty is to welcome everyone without discrimination and to accept others just as they are, regardless of the conditions in which they live or their past. Holy Father, I want to be a protagonist of change and not a young woman at the window watching the world go by. Professionally applying what I have learned to touch the most vulnerable and to help write new stories and paradigms for a more just and believing world. Our generation wants to be happy. I realize with joy that I am surrounded by young protagonists, enterprising, and ready to make noise with that enthusiasm, commitment, and hope that transform the world. We young Christians have a great desire to infect others and show them that it is worth taking a risk with God. Holy Father, I know that God is young, and I see Him every day in each of us. Thanks a million. Mariana Cravero, born in Porto, she's 21 years old. She holds a degree in psychology from the Faculty of Education and Psychology. From 2023 onward, she will be a student of the master's degree in Psychology of Justice and Deviant Behavior. And she's given a gift of a cross to our Holy Father and receives in return the gift of a rosary. Now we should be hearing a choral presentation.
For us, somewhere a place for us, peace and quiet and open air, wait for us somewhere. place for us. A time and place for us. Hold my hand and we'll halfway there. Hold my hand and I'll take you there. Somehow, someday, somewhere.
So not only hearing testimonies, we've heard a beautiful duet. Now we hear a testimony from Beatriz Ataide. Holy Father, good morning. I thank you for so many invitations to go deeper and carry out a mission together. Thank you for making us take new paths, provoking us to reflect, listening to us, empowering us, encouraging us, and placing trust in us, young people of the Economia Francesco. My philosophical studies are at the culmination of a long process of discernment. Little by little, I realized that whatever vocational form my life might take, my desire to mature always has led me to take care of others. Specifically, I felt called by God to help lift hearts wounded by sin. So after my late conversion, I had various experiences that led me to conclude that it is from the field of culture that I feel called, that God will bless me in the field of culture. That's where I will discover myself and discover Him, and I will be able to take action. Like yeast in the dough, like salt of the earth, it is in the culture of the village, in the culture of the people, in the culture of the earth, with its songs that I want to find myself on the alert, and with the church in favor of a good and healthy culture. A huge confirmation of this is realizing that even before my conversion to the God of Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit was guiding me in this direction as a baptized person. And since that time, I have also remained very interested in the question of what it means to live and be a person, and also in the meaning of suffering. So philosophy emerged as the way by which God was enabling me to take on more care for my brothers and sisters, and for myself, for whom Jesus Christ suffers so much. I discovered the great dynamism that emanates from the study of philosophy to give prevalence to the virtues, but also to create bonds of friendship in the common search for the truth, which is Christ, and to fight against cultural uprooting. In the Portuguese language, we have an expression that we use when we want to help someone, chamar a razão, to make them think. What I want is that reason remain at the service of communion. So as a cultural agent in the broadest sense, I will find joy in bringing the art of contemplation among people. I want to help think and live life based on the principles of charity, peace, and truth. As St. Ignatius advises us, the commitment to the little, the small, and the possible is helpful. At this moment, I am committed to completing the philosophy course. The habit of prayer is essential for this, to grow day after day in trust in providence and in openness to the Holy Spirit. Many thanks. This is Beatriz Ataide, and she was born in Lisbon. She's 27 years old, and she is a member of the Economy of Francesco Hub in Portugal. And she attends the campus in Braga. And we have one more testimony here, a testimony of Mahur Kafashian. I am a student of dentistry in Viseu since September 2022, initially displaced from my country, Iran. I took refuge in Ukraine, where a real war made me feel like a survivor. But above all, I am a believer, and I owe my hope regarding the future to the extraordinary team of the Catholic University. They have taken care of me and continue to do so within the context of the Pope Francis Social Support Fund. I was not the same person I am now. If they had told me last year that I was a very strong person, I probably wouldn't have believed it, but now I do. After everything I've been through, after the constant feeling of being without a home, family, friends, after being left without a home, without a university, without money, I know that the concept of strength doesn't mean that I don't feel tired, exhausted, and broken down by grief and loss. It just means that I have the strength, faith, and courage to carry on. I feel proud to be here for a new beginning in this beautiful and welcoming country, actively participating in the life of our common home and studying, while I too try to sow love, hope, and faith around me to those who unconditionally offer me a culture of encounter in this university. There are no words to describe my feelings right now, but I am blessed to be able to be here, proudly speaking to you about the past, about my past, believing that better days will come. Thank you. As we heard, this is Mahur Kafashian, a native of Iran, 25 years old. She's a student of dentistry in the Faculty of Dentistry located in the Viseu campus. So we've heard testimonies from all of the campuses. We should be hearing from our Holy Father now, the address that he has prepared for the university students. The Catholic University of Portugal, founded in 1967, the same year that Pope Paul VI visited Portugal. And we hear the crowds. Many of these students most likely also participating in World Youth Day. Our Holy Father will be participating in the welcome ceremony this evening. Dear brothers and sisters, good day, he says in Portuguese.
Gracias, señora rectora, por sus palabras.
Thank you, Madam Rector, for your kind words.
Ha dicho que
You
todos nos
said
sentimos peregrinos.
that all of us feel like
Una
pilgrims,
hermosa palabra,
and that's a beautiful
cuyo
word,
significado
one
merece ser
well worth
reflexionado.
reflecting on.
Literalmente significa dejar de lado la rutina cotidiana y ponernos en camino con un propósito, moviéndonos
To be a pilgrim
través de los
literally
campos,
means
o más allá de
to
los
put aside our
confines.
daily routine and to choose to set out on a different path, moving away from our comfort zone towards a new
En
horizon
el término
of
peregrino,
meaning.
vemos reflejada la conducta humana.
The notion of pilgrimage nicely describes our human condition, for like pilgrims, we find ourselves facing great questions that have no simple or immediate answers, but challenge us to continue the journey, to rise above ourselves, to press beyond the here and now. It's a process which every university student is familiar with.
Y así crece también la búsqueda espiritual. Peregrino es caminar hacia una meta. o
A
buscar
pilgrim
una
moves
meta.
toward a goal.
Siempre está el peligro
There's
de
always
caminar
the
en
danger
un laberinto.
of walking in a
donde no hay
labyrinth
meta,
where there's no goal,
tampoco hay salida.
and you'll never find your way out.
Desconfiemos de las fórmulas prefabricadas, son laberínticas.
We are rightly wary of quick and easy answers. That's the labyrinth. Easy solutions innately resolve every issue without leaving room for deeper questions.
Como cartas de juego trucadas. Desconfiemos de esas propuestas que parece que lo dan todo sin pedir nada. Desconfiemos. La desconfianza es un arma para poder caminar adelante y no seguir dando vueltas.
Distrust never allows
Una
us
de las
to
parábolas de Jesús
take up
dice que el que
challenges.
encuentra la perla de gran valor es aquel que la busca
One of
con
Jesus'
inteligencia
parables
y con
uses the
espíritu
example
de
of a pearl of great
iniciativa.
price, which is sought and found only by the wise and
Arriesga todo lo
resourceful,
que tiene para
by
obtenerlo.
those ready to give their all and who risk everything they have in order to obtain it.
Estos son
So
los dos
they seek,
verbos
they look, and they risk. And these are the two words that describe the journey of a pilgrim,
Pessoa dijo
to
de un modo
seek
atribulado pero acertado
and to
que
take
estar
risks.
insatisfecho
Pessoa
es
once
ego.
noted,
No debemos tener
ruefully
miedo
but
de
correctly,
sentirnos inquietos.
to be dissatisfied is to be human.
Estar insatisfechos
We
en
shouldn't
este
be afraid to
sentido,
feel
que nos
somewhat
ocupa
ill
la
at
vida,
ease and
es
thinking
un
that
buen
what we are doing is
antídoto
not
contra la
enough.
presunción de
Feeling ill at ease in this
y
sense,
contra el narcisismo.
in the right measure, is a good
El carácter
antidote to the
incompleto
presumption of
define
self-sufficiency and
nuestra condición de buscadores y
narcissism.
peregrinos. Como dice Jesús, estamos en el mundo,
Our
pero no
condition
somos
as
del mundo.
seekers and
Estamos
pilgrims means
caminando
that we will always be somewhat
Estamos
restless. There's
llamados a
always
algo más,
something
a
incomplete.
un
For as
despegue
Jesus
sin el
tells
cual
us,
no
we
hay
are in the
vuelta.
world, but we are
No
not
nos
of the
alarmemos
world.
entonces si nos encontramos
We're called to
interiormente
something higher.
sedientos, inquietos,
We'll never be able to soar
deseosos de
unless we
sentido
first take
y de
off.
futuro, con saudade
We should not be
del
alarmed
futuro.
then if we sense an inner thirst, a restless,
Junto a la saudade
unfulfilled
del
longing
futuro,
for meaning
no se
and a
olviden
future.
mantener viva esa memoria del futuro.
And in order to do this, we
No
have
estamos
to
enfermos,
always
estamos
have access
vivos.
to our memory.
Preocupémonos más bien
We
cuando
shouldn't be
estamos dispuestos
sick or
a
lethargic, but
sustituir
alive.
el camino a
Especially, we
recorrer
should only
por
be worried when we are
indisponernos en
tempted to
cualquier
abandon the road,
aunque esa comunidad
abandon the
sea
road
una
ahead
utopía.
in order to seek a
Cuando
resting
sustituimos los
place that
rostros
gives the
por los
illusion of
fantasmas,
comfort.
lo real
Or
por lo virtual.
when we
Cuando
find
en
ourselves
lugar de las
replacing
preguntas
faces
que
with
dejarán,
screens,
preferimos
the real
las
with the
respuestas
virtual, or
fáciles que
resting content with
anestesian.
easy answers that
La podemos
anesthetize
encontrar
us to
en
painful and
cualquier
disturbing questions.
de
We can find this in
trato social,
any.
de cómo comportarse bien,
There's always ways that we'll find out how to
fáciles.
behave well. But these
Amigos,
easy answers
permítanme
always
decirles,
drug us.
busquen y arriesguen.
Friends,
Busquen
I
y
would like to
arriesguen.
encourage you then to keep seeking and to be ready to take risks. At this moment in time, our world faces enormous challenges, and we hear a painful plea of so many of our brothers and sisters. We're living a Third World War piecemeal. We're not experiencing the agony of death, but we're experiencing a process of giving birth. Not at the end, we're not at the end, but we're at the beginning of a great new chapter of history, so we need to have courage. So we need to work on a new choreography, one that respects the dance of life, by putting the human person at the center. And so your rector's words impressed me, especially when she said that the university does not exist to preserve itself as an institution, but in order to respond courageously to the challenges of the present and the future. Self-preservation is always a temptation. It's a knee-jerk reaction to fears that distort our view of reality. If seeds were to protect themselves, they would completely destroy their generative power and condemn all of us to starvation. If winter were to persist or never end, we would not marvel at the spring. So, replace your doubts with dreams.
No sean administradores de miedos. No sean administradores de miedos, sino emprendedores.
Don't remain hostage to your fears.
Sería un desperdicio
Set about working to
pensar en
realize your
una
goals.
universidad comprometida en formar a las nuevas generaciones solo para perpetuar
A university
el
would be
actual
useless
sistema
if it were simply to
elitista
train the
y
next
desigual
generation
del
to
mundo,
perpetuate the
en
present
que la
global system
instrucción superior
of elitism
es
and
un
inequality in
privilegio
which
para
higher
unos pocos.
education is the privilege of a happy few.
Si el conocimiento no es
Unless
acogido
knowledge is
como
embraced as a
responsabilidad,
responsibility,
se vuelve estéril.
it bears little fruit, it
Si
will
el
be
que ha
sterile.
recibido una instrucción superior
If
que
someone
hoy en
who has
Portugal y en
benefited
el
from a
mundo
higher
sigue siendo
education,
un privilegio,
which nowadays in Portugal
no se esfuerza
as in the
por
wider world,
restituir
remains
algo
a
de aquello con lo
privilege,
que ha sido
makes no effort to give
beneficiado,
something
en
in
el
return,
fondo no ha comprendido lo que se le ha ofrecido.
that person has not fully appreciated the value
Me
of the
gusta
gift
pensar que en el
received.
Génesis, las primeras
So I'm
preguntas que
thinking in the
Dios
book
hace
of
al hombre
Genesis, the first questions
son,
God
¿dónde
asks
estás?
are, where are
¿Dónde
you
está tu hermano?
and where is your brother?
Nos hará bien preguntarnos,
It
¿dónde
would be
estoy?
good for us to ask ourselves, where
¿Estoy
am
encerrado
I?
en mi burbuja? ¿O corro el riesgo de salir de mis
Am I
habilidades
trapped in my
para
own
ser un
bubble?
cristiano practicante,
Or am I ready
un
to take the
artesano de la
risk of,
justicia,
leaving my
un artesano de
security
la belleza?
behind
Y también,
and
¿dónde está
becoming
mi
a faithful
hermano?
Christian,
Experiencias de servicio fraterno,
working to
como la
shape
de
a
Misión
world of
País,
justice
y
and
tantas
beauty?
otras
Or
que
again,
nacen en el ámbito
where is my
académico,
brother or
deberían
sister?
ser consideradas
Experiences of fraternal service
indispensables
such as
para quien pasa
Michel
por la
Pais and many
universidad.
others that arise within academic
El tipo de
communities,
estudio, en efecto,
which
no
ought to
puede
be
ser
considered
visto
essential for
solo como
those
una
attending
licencia para
university.
construir el bienestar personal,
An academic
sino
degree
como
should
un
not be seen
mandato
merely as
para
a
dedicarse a una sociedad
a
más justa, una sociedad más
license to
inclusiva,
pursue
es
personal
decir, más
well-being,
desarrollada.
but as a mandate to
Me han
work for a
dicho
more
que
just
una
and
de nuestras grandes
inclusive
poetisas,
and very
Sofía de
truly
Mello,
progressive society. I'm told that one of your great
en una
poets,
entrevista
Sophia de
que es
Mello
una
Breiner
especie de
Anderson,
testamento a la
was
pregunta,
asked in an
¿qué le gustaría
interview,
ver realizado
which
en
served as a
Portugal
kind of
en
testament,
este nuevo siglo?
what would you like to
Respondió
see
sin
Portugal
vacilar,
achieve in this
me
new
gustaría
century?
que se
She
realizase la
responded without
justicia social,
hesitation, I would like to
la
see the
disminución de
attainment
las
of social
diferencias
justice,
entre ricos y
the
pobres.
reduction of the gap between rich
Les
and
remito a
poor.
ustedes esta pregunta.
Allow me to put this
Ustedes,
same question
queridos
to you, dear
estudiantes,
students,
peregrinos del saber.
pilgrims of
¿Qué
knowledge.
quisieran ver realizado
What do
en
you
Portugal
want
y en el mundo?
Portugal to achieve?
¿Qué cambios?
What do you want the
¿Qué
world to
transformación?
achieve? What changes? What
¿Y de qué manera la
transformations?
universidad,
And
sobre
how
todo
can
la
universities,
católica, puede
especially the
contribuir a
Catholic
esto?
University, contribute to this?
Beatriz, Maor, Mariana, Tomás, les agradezco sus testimonios.
I thank you for your testimonies.
Tenían todo un tono de esperanza.
They all
una
struck a
carga de
hopeful
entusiasmo
note.
realista.
They were full of
No había
enthusiasm
en
and
ellos
realism.
quejas,
You did
ni
not
tampoco
complain or escape
ilusorias
into
fugas
flights of
hasta adelante.
idealism.
Ustedes quieren ser protagonistas,
You want to be protagonists of change, as Mariana told us.
como ha dicho Mariana. Escuchándolos, he pensado en una
As I
frase que tal
listened
vez
to you, I
es
thought of a
familiar
phrase from the
del
writer
escritor
José de Almada Negreiros,
Soñé
which
con un
may be
país
familiar to you.
donde
I
todos
dreamt of a country
llegaban
where
a
everyone was able to become a teacher.
También este anciano que les habla,
This
que
old
refirió
man,
que
now speaking to you
sueña
because I'm
que
old,
vuestra generación sea una generación de
also
maestros,
dreams that yours will also become a generation of teachers.
maestros en compasión,
Teachers of
maestros en
humanity,
nuevas
teachers of
oportunidades
compassion,
para el planeta y sus
teachers of
habitantes,
new opportunities for our planet and its
y
inhabitants,
maestros que
teachers
defiendan
of hope,
la vida del planeta amenazada
teachers
en este
that
momento
defend
por una grave
any life
destrucción
that is
ecológica.
threatened right now, especially through
Como algunos de ustedes han
the ecological
evidenciado,
crisis.
debemos reconocer la
As some of
urgencia
you pointed
dramática
out,
de hacernos caso de la casa
we
común.
must recognize the
Sin embargo,
dramatic and
esto no se
urgent
puede
need to
hacer
care for our
sin una
common
conversión
home.
del corazón
Yet,
y un
this
cambio
cannot be done
en la
without a real
visión
change of
antropológica
heart and of the anthropological approaches undergirding economic and political life. We cannot be satisfied with mere palliative measures or timid and ambiguous compromises, for halfway measures simply delay the inevitable disaster.
No olviden esto. Los términos medios son solo una pequeña demora en el derrumbe. Se trata más bien de
Rather,
hacerse cargo
it is a matter of confronting head-on what sadly continues to be postponed.
la necesidad de redefinir
The need to redefine what we mean by progress and development. In the name of progress, we have often regressed. Yours can be the generation that takes up this great challenge. You have made the most advanced scientific and technological tools, but please avoid falling into the trap of myopic and partial approaches. Keep in mind that we need an integral ecology, attentive to the sufferings both of the planet and the poor. We need to align the tragedy of desertification with that of refugees, the issue of increased migration with that of a declining birth rate, and to see the material dimension of life within the greater purview of the spiritual. Instead of polarized approaches or creating polarization, we need a unified vision. Thank you, Thomas, for reminding us that an authentic integral ecology is not possible without God, that there can be no future in a world without God. In response, I would say, make your faith credible through your choices, for unless faith gives rise to convincing lifestyles, it will not be a leaven in the world. And it won't be enough for us Christians to be convincing. No, it's not enough for us Christians to be convinced. We must also be convincing. Our actions are called to reflect, to be joyful and radical, and witness the beauty of the gospel. Furthermore, Christianity cannot be lived as a fortress surrounded by high walls, a Christianity that raises the ramparts against the world. That is why I was moved by Beatrice's testimony when she said that it is precisely within the field of culture that she feels called to live the Beatitudes. In every age, one of the most important tasks for Christians is to recover the meaning of incarnation. Without the incarnation, Christianity becomes ideology. This is a temptation, ideological Christianity. It's a Christianity, a quote-unquote Christianity. It is incarnation that enables us to be amazed by the beauty of Christ revealed through every brother and sister, every man and woman. In this regard, it is significant that you have named your new academic chair dedicated to the economy of Francesco, also after St. Clare.
La contribución femenina es indispensable.
The contribution of women is indeed essential. And in a collective consciousness, we've often thought of women as second class, as something supplementary, and that not giving them the role of protagonists. This is what's been happening in the collective unconsciousness. The contribution of women is essential. In the Bible, we see how the economy of the family is entrusted largely to women. They are the real heads of the household, possessed of a wisdom aimed not merely at profit, but also toward care, coexistence, and the physical and spiritual well-being of everyone, including the poor and the stranger.
y es apasionante comprender los estudios económicos.
It's enthusiastic to approach the study of economics from this standpoint.
La dignidad
For the sake of restoring to the economy its proper dignity, lest it fall prey to unbridled market speculation.
La iniciativa del Pacto Educativo
The Global Compact on Education,
y los 7 principios
with
que
its
establecen
7
su
overarching
arquitectura,
principles,
incluyen muchos de estos
encompasses
temas,
many of
desde el
these
cuidado de la
issues,
casa común,
from
hasta la
caring
plena
for our common
participación de
home
las mujeres,
to the full
para llegar a
participation
la
of women,
necesidad de encontrar
and the
nuevos
need for
modos
innovative
de
ways
entender la economía,
for
la
understanding
política, el
economics,
desarrollo
politics,
y el
growth,
progreso.
and progress.
Los invito a estudiar el Pacto
I encourage you
Educativo
all to
Global,
study the Global Compact
apasionarse por él.
and to
Uno de los puntos
become passionate
que
about
trata
it.
es el de la educación en
One of
la
the points it
acogida
addresses
y la
is the need to
inclusión.
educate
No
about
podemos
welcome
fingir no
or
haber oído
acceptance
la
and
palabra de
inclusion. We
Jesús
can't
en el
pretend
capítulo 25
that
de
we've never
Mateo.
heard the words of
Estaba de
Jesus in the
paso y me
25th
alojaron.
chapter of Matthew's
He
Gospel.
seguido con
I was a
emoción
stranger,
el
and you
testimonio de
welcomed me.
Mahor,
So I was moved as
cuando
I
he evocado
listened
lo
to
que
Mahor's
significa
testimony
vivir con
when
el
she described
sentimiento
what it's like to
constante
live
de la
constantly
falta
feeling
de
the
un
absence
hogar,
of hearth
de una
and
familia,
home
de
and
unos
friends,
amigos, de haber quedado
of
sin
being
casa,
without a
sin
home,
universidad,
a
sin
university,
dinero,
or
cansada
money,
y exhausta
tired,
y abatida
worn,
por el dolor
and
y la
beaten down by
pérdida.
grief and loss.
Nos ha dicho que
She told us
recuperó la
that she
esperanza,
rediscovered hope
porque algunos
because
creyeron
she met someone who believed in the transforming power of the culture of encounter.
cada vez que alguien
Every
practica
time someone
un
offers a
gesto de
gesture of
hospitalidad,
hospitality,
provoca una
it
transformación.
prompts a transformation.
Amigos, estoy muy contento
Dear friends,
de
I'm very
verlos
happy to
como una
see
comunidad
that you are a
educativa
lively academic
abierta a la
community,
realidad
open to the current
y
reality,
consciente de que el Evangelio no es un
in
mero
which the
adorno,
gospel is not
sino
a
que
mere
anima la
decoration, but an
paz y el
inspiration for your
conjunto.
individual and collective
Sé que vuestro
efforts.
itinerario
I know that your
comprende
lives are busy
estos ámbitos, el
between
estudio, la amistad,
study,
servicio
friends,
social,
community
la
service,
responsabilidad
civil
civil
and
y política,
political
el cuidado de
responsibilities,
la casa común,
care for
y
our
las
common
expresiones
home, artistic
artísticas.
activities,
Ser
and
una
so forth.
universidad católica quiere
That is
decir,
what it
sobre
means to
todo
be a
esto,
Catholic
que cada
university.
elemento está en
Each
relación
part is related
con
to the
el
whole,
todo, y
while
que
the whole
el
is to be
todo se
found in
encuentra en
each
las
of its
partes.
parts.
De este modo, mientras se adquieren las
As you acquire
competencias
knowledge
científicas,
and academic
se madura
expertise, you
como
will
persona,
mature as a
en el
person
conocimiento de
in
sí mismo
self-knowledge
y en el discernimiento
and
del
in the
propio
ability to
camino.
discern the path of your
Camino sí,
future.
laberinto no.
Going on a journey,
Entonces,
yes, but in a labyrinth, no. So carry on.
Una tradición medieval
A medieval
cuenta
tradition
que
has it
cuando los peregrinos
that
del
when
Camino de
pilgrims on
Santiago
the Camino de Santiago
se
met one
cruzaban,
another, they
uno
would greet each
saludaba al
other
otro, exclamando,
by exclaiming,
"Ultreia", y el otro
Ultreya,
respondía,
and the other would
"Exuseia".
respond, Et Suseya.
Son expresiones de
These
aliento
expressions
para
encourage us to
continuar la
persevere
búsqueda
in
y el riesgo del
seeking
caminar,
and in the risk of the
diciéndonos
journey,
mutuamente,
telling us to
"Vamos,
move on
ánimo,
and aim
sigue
higher.
adelante". Y esto,
Go,
que yo
take
también
heart,
deseo
keep going.
para todos
That, dear
ustedes,
friends, is
con todo
likewise
mi
my
corazón.
heartfelt wish and prayer for all of you. The crowd now reacting to the discourse of our Holy Father. We also see here Cardinal Tolentino in the line here, the prefect for the Dicastery of Culture and Education. It would have been the former Congregation for Education that established the Concordat for the foundation of this university. And we'll now be praying the Our Father together. Here again we see the President of the Republic taking part in this event.
Comunión con toda iglesia, oremos como el Señor nos enseñó. Pai nosso, que estáis nos céus, santificado seja vosso nome. Venha o nosso vosso reino. Seja feita a vossa vontade, assim como no céu. o pão nosso de cada dia nos dai hoje. Perdonai-nos as nossas ofensas, assim como nós perdonamos a quem nos tem. E não nos deixeis tentação, mas livra-nos do mal.
And now we'll be receiving the apostolic blessing.
Bendito seja o nome do Senhor. O nosso auxílio vem do Senhor. Abençoe-vos, Deus Todo-Poderoso, Pai, Filho e Espírito Santo. Amém.
And those here present now, about 2,000 present, with about 6,500 in another hall, being able to see what's going on with screens, now applauding, all on their feet. At the end of our Holy Father's visit here to the Catholic University of Portugal, our Holy Father taking part in his first event today on this second day of his apostolic visit, once more greeting the rector of the university. Our Holy Father now beginning his way away from the stage here, as we once again are able to enjoy the music being offered. Holy Father now in his wheelchair taking his leave. Our Holy Father here in Portugal on the second day of his apostolic journey. He will be driving by car now about 35 kilometers to Cascais, where he will visit the headquarters of Escolas Ocorrentes, and as we heard earlier, he is now blessing the cornerstone of a new faculty being opened. The faculty of, or the chair, excuse me, of the economics of Francis and Claire. Actually, it's the cornerstone of the construction of the new Campus Veritati that he just blessed. So at this time, we take leave of you. We hope you join us. We'll be back again live with our continual coverage of the Holy Father's trip to Portugal. He'll be appearing at the headquarters of Escolas Ocorrentes in about 20 minutes. But I also invite you to visit the Vatican News web portal, our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter accounts. You'll find continuous coverage of all of Pope Francis' events during his apostolic journey here to Portugal, as well as coverage of other Vatican and world news. On behalf of Vatican Media, thank you to our audio technician, Daniele Giorgi, and to our coordinator, Alessandro Di Carolis, and to all others who've made this broadcast possible, especially our media partners, EWTN, Shalom World TV, Shalom TV India and Sunday Shalom at Madarshan TV, Sultan Light Media, Catholic Faith Network, Catholic TV, and Uganda, Catholic Television, and Radio Maria, Papua New Guinea. Let's keep these young people in our prayers, especially all those who have gathered for World Youth Day. Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ.
no matter